John Felt here, and this is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing, June 9th, 2019. Well, the big story has been the middle U.S., especially river flooding that has been second to 1993 along the Mississippi, the upper Mississippi. Over the last week, we had quite a bit of rain over the southeast U.S., resulting in flash flooding in spots. So really, we went in the last couple weeks from a lot of severe weather action, tornadoes, severe storms, to more heavy rain. So over the last week, you can see we had heavy rain. It shifted more into the south central and southeast U.S. One of the things I want to sort of point out here, and I'll probably point it out a number of times because it's important, is the lack of rainfall over the upper Mississippi. This is really important to watch because in 1993, the heavier rain started at this time and continued into July, which set up a crest in summertime. So we need to keep an eye on that. I don't see it right now. Matter of fact, if you look at the number of rain days, again, good news here over the upper Midwest. Not just for the river flooding, but also for agriculture. We're really at the very last chance to plant some crops such as corn. And luckily, we had very few days of rain over the upper Midwest. If you look at this brown, no rain at all. So that's good news in that area, both from a river standpoint and also an agriculture standpoint. So right now, across the nation, what we have is very moist air. Over the areas in green, this is dew points, so moist air in here, very dry air out in the west, and that looks like it's going to continue this dry and very warm air over the western U.S., and then this moist air over the southeast will be working eastward. So over the last week, we had temperatures well above normal. Look at the temperatures in the west coast. We've had temperatures 8 degrees or more above normal, and this looks like this will remain unusually hot going into much of this week. And then we're going to have a big change over the central part of the nation, as I'll be talking about in just a moment. As far as soil temperatures go, well, big changes last week due to some milder air. We've worked 60s well up into the upper Midwest now. It's been lagging in this area, so again, that's another positive for agriculture. So soils are still vulnerable in spots, right in the middle part of the U.S., and then parts of the upper Midwest region, especially in areas in blue. There are probably field delays. Now, the good news is this is improving since last week. We're getting areas of key ag regions that are drying out a bit, and that's good news. Now, this was before the rain fell over the southeast U.S. as reported. Wanted to mention that a lot of the heaviest rain fell over areas that was dry. It has resulted in flash flooding because in some cases we had 4 to 6 inches of rain in this area, but other areas were so dry, a lot of that soaked in. So sort of a mixed bag here of some beneficial rain, but yet we're having flash flood impacts. So we look at river flows here. We can see pretty clearly right through the middle part of the nation. We had the Arkansas was very busy, rivers in eastern Texas, right through the Mississippi and part of the Missouri. And then more recently, the flash flood threat along the spine of the Appalachians. And then this is a band of very heavy rain, 3 to 6 inch rain in this region. As far as the flood crest on the Mississippi, it's crested pretty much into this area right in here, just around St. Louis. The Missouri's crested in here, so this flood wave is going to be working down through the middle Mississippi this week and then rising on the lower Mississippi for some time. So why did we switch from a severe storm, tornado, and severe thunderstorm more into heavy rain? Well, we sort of lost that strong southwest jet. I mentioned that last week. And instead what we have here is we have this dip in the jet stream that's now moving east. And that's going to really give us a pattern shift this week. And you can see it here. What we're going to be shifting to this week is a pattern of a significant dip in the jet stream right in here. This is week 2. It's not so pronounced in week 2, but really pronounced in week 1. And a bit of a ridge over the western U.S. So that's going to give us a very distinct temperature pattern where blue is below normal temperatures, red is above normal. So we're looking at well below normal temperatures over the middle of the U.S., a large area, well above normal temperatures over the western U.S., especially the Pacific Northwest, and very much with that trough digging into this region and a ridge over this region, very distinct temperature anomalies over the next week. And you can see the cooler air is pushing in behind this front right here. It's pushing right in behind this front. So the cool air is already on its way. Now by midweek Wednesday, we could be seeing temperature departures here, negative of 10 to 20 degrees below normal. So really sort of a refreshing cool air. Now, of course, if this came in July or August, it'd probably feel a little bit better. A negative here is, for an agricultural perspective, this is not ideal, especially when we're trying to dry out soils in this area. So it might feel comfortable, but from an ag perspective, it's not that positive. Now look at the temperature anomalies over the far west coast and the Pacific Northwest. We're looking at way up here, again, 10 to 20 degrees above normal, 10 to 15 degrees perhaps. So big extremes in far as temperatures go this week. As far as precipitation, along the east coast, we're going to have this system in front of that cold front, some heavy rain. We're going to have much of the nation fairly quiet. And again, focusing on the upper Midwest, I don't see anything that would put enough water into the Mississippi to raise those levels once they crest. The very hot western part of the U.S. looks dry. And then we do some rain, a small area here in the Missouri River drainage. We'll have to keep an eye on maybe some locally heavy rain. And just here's an animation for the next couple weeks from the European model, just where the heavier rain might be. You can take a look at the western U.S., looks quite dry. Central U.S., just moderate precipitation with that exception of perhaps Kansas. Then the east coast, perhaps some rain along the mid-Atlantic, and then very late in the period, the northeast U.S. Extended outlook, well, the coldest air, the strongest anomalies are in week 1, but even in week 2 in the western U.S., that the unusually warm temperatures over the western U.S., including Seattle, Washington State, Oregon, looks like it's going to continue for 2 weeks. And the cooler weather over the Great Lakes and parts of the Midwest, also for 2 weeks. Precipitation, here we go. You know, this time of year, unless you see a dark green, I think the confidence is fairly low as far as precipitation for the light green, but it does look like we will have some scattered showers and thunderstorms over parts of the middle U.S. for both week 1 and 2. Hopefully not enough to change those river trends. Now, as far as a hazard assessment goes, I wanted to point out the much above normal temperatures this week over the Pacific Northwest. Heavy rain threat ahead of that front over the mid-Atlantic and the east coast. Flash flood warnings at the current time with that rain that just occurred over the southeast U.S. And then this is a little bit further out. Let's keep an eye on this middle U.S. the 15th through the 17th of June. So overall, the alert is for the Mississippi River floods, and the trends are those strong temperature anomalies, warm west, very hot west, cooler in the middle U.S. That's this week's forecast. Hope it helps you in your planning. Have a great week.